Ladies and gentlemen, sisters in Christ, I want to talk to the women who feel like they've been the fight of their lives. The women who have prayed until their knees hurt, cried until their eyes could cry no more, and yet still had to get up the next morning and face the storm again. If that's you, hear me today. The size of your battle is not proof of God's absence. It's proof of your calling. God's strongest women are not given easy paths, because easy paths don't produce warriors. The hardest battles are a sign that God has trusted you with something greater than comfort. He's trusted you with purpose. Strength in the life of a believer is rarely built in moments of ease. God often uses struggle as his tool to shape, refine, and prepare us for the purposes he has assigned. When life feels heavy, when the challenges seem endless, it's easy to think we're being punished or forgotten. But in reality, those seasons can be God's training ground. He sees potential in us that we often cannot see in ourselves. The enemy, too, senses this potential and tries to derail us before it fully matures. That's why certain people face opposition early in life, because something great lies ahead. God allows the pressure not to destroy us, but to form in us the strength, character, and faith we will need to handle the blessings and responsibilities he has planned. Just as a diamond is not born shining and beautiful, we are not instantly ready for the weight of our calling. Diamonds begin as rough, unremarkable pieces of carbon. It takes extreme heat and crushing pressure over time to transform them into something precious and strong. Likewise, faith is not developed in comfort. It's forged in the furnace of adversity. When we are stretched beyond our limits, when we are forced to trust God in the dark, when we have nothing left but his promises, we find that his grace is not just enough. It's abundant. Struggle teaches us resilience, endurance, and dependence on God in a way that smooth seasons never could. We may wonder why God doesn't just give us strength without the process. But strength gained without struggle is fragile. It crumbles at the first sign of resistance. God is not raising fragile children, he's raising warriors. And warriors are made in battle. Every tear shed in prayer, every night spent wrestling with doubt, every moment we've had to get up after being knocked down is a layer of strength being added to our spirit. These moments prepare us not only to face future challenges, but to lead, encourage, and fight for others when their faith is under fire. Consider the example of Joseph in the Bible. As a young man, he received dreams from God about his future. A future where he would be in a place of influence and leadership. But before that dream could be fulfilled, Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For years, it seemed like everything was moving in the opposite direction of what God had promised. Yet, every step of the way, God was building Joseph's strength, shaping his character, and teaching him to rely completely on him. The pit, the prison, and the betrayal were all part of the preparation for the palace. When Joseph finally rose to power in Egypt, he had the wisdom, humility, and endurance to lead through famine and save nations. Without the struggle, he wouldn't have been ready for the responsibility. In the same way, your present trials may not make sense now, but they are producing in you a strength that will not only sustain you, but also equip you to impact others. Struggle is not a detour. It's the path God uses to get you to your destination. The pressure you feel is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that God is molding you into something priceless. And when the day comes that you walk in the victory He has prepared, you will see that every ounce of pressure, every tear, and every test was worth it. The struggle didn't break you. It built you. The challenges you face are not random. They are proportionate to the purpose God has placed on your life. When you find yourself under a weight that feels too heavy to bear, it's easy to believe it's a punishment or a cruel twist of fate. But in truth, the load you're carrying often mirrors the destiny you're called to walk into. God knows what He has prepared for you, and He knows that to stand in that place, you'll need a certain level of endurance, maturity, and strength. The very pressures you wish would disappear are the same pressures equipping you for the assignment ahead. When an architect designs a building meant to reach great heights, the foundation must be deep and strong enough to handle the weight. If the structure is meant to be small, the foundation can be shallow. But the taller the building, the deeper the foundation has to go. The same principle applies in your spiritual life. The greater the calling, the more God must strengthen your foundation. That strengthening often happens through trials that stretch your faith and force you to rely on Him in ways you never have before. It's not that God delights in watching you struggle. Rather, He's positioning you for something greater than your current season. He is preparing you to stand where others have fallen, to endure what others could not, to shine in places where darkness once reigned. This is why not everyone can carry what you carry. There's a reason you've been chosen to walk this particular road. God saw in you the capacity, with His help, to bear it. And while others might fold under the weight, He knew you could press through because He's the one holding you up. This truth can be seen in the life of Esther. She was a young Jewish woman living in Persia, seemingly far from any great destiny. Yet through a series of events, she was placed in a position as queen, a place of influence that would one day require her to risk her life, to save her people. When the time came to act, the weight of her responsibility was enormous. She had to walk into the king's court uninvited, knowing it could mean her death. But she did it because she understood the words her cousin Mordecai spoke. Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. The danger she faced matched the destiny she held. If she had not been willing to carry that weight, countless lives would have been lost. In the same way, your battles today may not yet make sense, but they are building in you the courage, faith, and resilience you'll need when your moment of destiny arrives. The loneliness, the betrayal, the setbacks, they are part of the training. They teach you how to stand when the wind is fierce, how to trust God when resources are scarce, how to keep your focus when distractions come. Each trial is another layer of preparation so that when you step into the fullness of what God has for you, you'll be able to hold it without it crushing you. So instead of despising the weight, recognize it as confirmation that you are trusted with something significant. God does not place great burdens on weak shoulders. He chose you because he knows you can bear it. Not in your own strength, but in his. And when the time comes for the fullness of your destiny to be revealed, you will see that every difficult step was not a punishment, but a positioning perfectly designed for the purpose you were born to fulfill. When life throws you into a battle that feels overwhelming, it's natural to focus on the pain, the confusion, and the exhaustion. But there's a truth that changes everything. When you grasp it, the harder the battle, the greater the testimony. God does not waste your suffering. He uses your most difficult seasons to craft a story that will not only transform your life, but inspire and strengthen others for years, even generations to come. A testimony isn't just about surviving. It's about emerging from the storm with proof of God's power, love, and faithfulness. The intensity of the struggle only magnifies the glory of the victory. When you endure something that seemed impossible to get through, you carry more than relief. You carry evidence. Evidence that God can heal what's broken, restore what's lost, and open doors where there were only walls. And that evidence isn't just for you to keep, it's for you to share. The very thing the enemy intended to destroy you becomes the story that encourages someone else to keep going. This is why God sometimes allows the fight to be harder than you think you can handle. Because the victory he has in store is meant to be bigger than you could imagine. Think about it like this. If someone survives a light rain, it doesn't make headlines. But if someone survives a hurricane, people stop and listen. The greater the storm, the more powerful the story. In the spiritual realm, your trials work the same way. The battles that seem unfair, unending, and unbearable are the very ones that will produce the testimonies with the most impact. They will show others that God is not just good in theory, but faithful in reality. A powerful example of this is found in the story of David and Goliath. David was just a young shepherd boy when he faced a seasoned warrior, over 9 feet tall. The odds were impossible by human standards. If David had fought a smaller opponent, it might have been a nice story, but it wouldn't have been legendary because the battle was so great. His victory became a testimony that echoed through generations. Even today, when people face overwhelming odds, they still say they're facing their Goliath and remind themselves that giants can fall. That moment in history wasn't just about David's personal triumph. It became a blueprint for courage and faith for countless others who would walk through their own valleys. Your life has the same potential. The battle you're facing now may one day be the very story that gives hope to someone else who feels like giving up. Your breakthrough could be the light that leads them out of their own darkness. And when you testify about what God has done, you're not just telling your story. You're revealing His glory. You're showing the world that no matter how impossible it looks, no matter how long it takes, God can be trusted to bring victory. So when the fight feels too big, remember this: the size of the battle is directly connected to the size of the testimony. Don't despise the struggle, because one day you'll stand on the other side with a story that will shake fear, ignite faith, and point people straight to the one who gave you the strength to win. Your hardest battle could be the very thing God uses to change not just your life, but the lives of many others. A woman who walks closely with God carries more than just personal faith. She carries spiritual authority. This isn't authority given by people or earned through status. It's given by God Himself. It's the power to influence the unseen world through prayer, to bring God's word into situations and watch circumstances shift. It's the ability to speak life where there is death, hope where there is despair, and faith where there is fear. When a woman stands in her God, given authority, she becomes a threat to the kingdom of darkness. This is why her battles can be so fierce. The enemy fears what she can accomplish when she fully steps into who God has called her to be. Spiritual authority is not loudness, pride, or control. It's rooted in intimacy with God and obedience to His word. It flows from knowing who you are in Christ and whose power you carry. The enemy can't stand against that kind of faith. So he tries to wear you down, distract you, and make you doubt your value. But a woman who understands her spiritual position knows that she fights from victory, not for victory. She realizes that when she prays, heaven listens. When she worships, darkness trembles. And when she stands firm, chains begin to break. The warfare surrounding such a woman is often intense because the enemy recognizes the impact she can have, not just on her life, but on generations after her. A praying woman can cover her children in protection, intercede for her community, and shift the spiritual atmosphere of her home. Her words can be like seeds that produce blessing for years to come. And when she refuses to bow to fear, she shows others how to rise in courage. One powerful example of this is the story of Hannah in the Bible. Hannah longed for a child, but faced years of barrenness, along with the mocking of her rival. Yet instead of giving in to bitterness or hopelessness, she took her pain to God in persistent, heartfelt prayer. She poured out her soul before Him, refusing to let her situation silence her faith. God heard her and gave her a son, Samuel, who became one of Israel's greatest prophets. But Hannah's spiritual authority didn't stop at her personal blessing. Through her surrender and dedication of Samuel to God, she influenced the spiritual future of a whole nation. Her perseverance in prayer broke through what seemed impossible. And the ripple effect of her faith still inspires countless believers today. In the same way, many of the battles you face are not simply about you. They are about what you are destined to birth, spiritually. Your prayers may be protecting someone you've never met. Your worship may be breaking chains in your family line. Your steadfast faith might be creating a spiritual covering over people who don't yet know they need it. That is why the fight can feel so relentless. But you are not powerless. Every time you declare God's promises over your life, every time you choose worship over worry, every time you resist the temptation to give up, you are exercising the authority God has given you. You are dangerous to the enemy precisely because you know the one who holds all power. And when you step into that truth, no weapon formed against you can prosper. The battle may rage, but your authority in Christ ensures that the victory is already secured. You are not just surviving. You are standing as a warrior whose influence will outlast the fight. One of the most encouraging truths you can hold on to in the middle of life's storms is that you are never fighting alone. It might feel like you're carrying the weight of the world by yourself, but the reality is that God is not watching from a distance. He is right there in the middle of the fight with you. Before you even stepped into this battle, He had already gone ahead and secured the victory. That means the outcome is not uncertain, even if the journey feels overwhelming. You're not abandoned, forgotten, or left to figure it out on your own. You are accompanied by the one who has all power and authority in His hands. When a soldier goes to war, confidence comes from knowing their commander has a strategy and resources to back them up. In the same way, your confidence in life's hardest battles can come from knowing that your commander, God Himself, has a plan, has already seen the end from the beginning, and has promised that all things will work together for your good. You may be tired, but you're not alone. You may be afraid, but you're not defenseless. The God who parted the Red Sea, shut the mouths of lions, and raised the dead is walking beside you right now. Sometimes the hardest part is that you can't always see Him working. The situation may seem unchanged. The pain may still be real, and the prayers may feel unanswered. But faith isn't about seeing the solution. It's about trusting that the one who is with you knows exactly what He's doing. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean God is inactive. He could be working behind the scenes, positioning the right people, opening doors you don't even know exist, or shielding you from attacks you can't see. A beautiful example of this truth is found in the story of Elisha in 2 Kings 6. The king of Aram sent a massive army to capture Elisha because of the prophetic insight God was giving him. Early in the morning, Elisha's servant looked out and saw the city surrounded by enemy horses and chariots. Terrified, he cried out to Elisha, "What shall we do?" Elisha calmly replied, "Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed for the servant's eyes to be opened. When God answered, the young man suddenly saw the hills filled with horses and chariots of fire. God's heavenly army already surrounding them. The enemy hadn't disappeared, but the servant could now see the greater reality. They were not fighting alone, and God's forces were already in place to protect them. That's the same truth for you today. The enemy might be circling, the pressure might be heavy, but heaven's armies are closer than you think. God is before you, making a way. He is beside you, strengthening you, and He is within you, empowering you to stand. The outcome of the battle is not determined by how strong you feel, but by how faithful God is. So lift your head. You may be in the thick of it right now, but you're not standing in the battlefield by yourself. The one who called you into this fight is the same one who has already declared your victory. When you understand that, fear begins to lose its grip and courage rises in its place. The fight may be real, but so is the presence of the God who fights for you. Pain has a way of feeling pointless when you're in the middle of it. It's natural to ask, why me? Why this? Why now? But in God's hands, pain is never wasted. It's not designed to destroy you. It's designed to reveal you. Sometimes God will allow the storm, not because He wants to see you struggle, but because He wants to draw out strengths, gifts, and levels of faith you didn't even know were inside you. There are parts of your spiritual muscle that will only develop under the weight of resistance. And there are depths of courage that will only surface when you're under pressure. Think of it like refining gold. Raw gold is valuable, but it's filled with impurities that weaken it. To make it pure and strong, it must be placed in intense heat. The fire doesn't destroy the gold. It removes what doesn't belong. In the same way, your pain can serve as a refining fire, burning away fear, doubt, pride, and anything that would keep you from stepping fully into who God has called you to be. It's in those heated moments that you discover a faith that can't be shaken, a hope that can't be stolen, and a strength that doesn't run out. When you face a storm, it forces you to confront what you really believe. In calm seasons, it's easy to talk about trust, patience, and surrender. But when the winds start blowing and the waves are high, your faith moves from theory to reality. Pain pushes you to lean on God in ways comfort never could. It forces you to pray with desperation, to worship in spite of tears, to hold on to promises even when nothing seems to be changing. And in that process, you realize that what you thought was small faith is actually a deep well of strength, because it's rooted in God, not in your circumstances. A powerful example of this truth is found in the life of Job. Job was a man described as blameless and upright, yet he faced unimaginable loss. His children, his wealth, his health, all in a short period of time. The pain was overwhelming, and the questions were real. Friends and even his own wife told him to give up, But Job refused to let his pain pull him away from God. Instead, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That kind of faith didn't come from easy living. It was revealed and strengthened in the fire of suffering. By the end of Job's story, not only was everything restored to him in greater measure, but his testimony of endurance and trust in God has encouraged countless generations. Your pain may not be the same as Job's, but the principle is the same. That difficult season you're walking through right now could be the very thing God is using to sharpen your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for greater impact. You might not see it yet, but the courage you're gaining, the empathy you're developing, and the trust you're building are going to serve you and others in powerful ways down the road. When you understand that pain has a purpose, it doesn't make it easy, but it does make it meaningful. You can endure a lot when you know God is shaping something eternal inside of you. And one day, you'll look back and see that the storm didn't break you. It revealed the unshakable, unstoppable woman you were always meant to be. Pain. Pain has a way of feeling pointless when you're in the middle of it. It's natural to ask, why me? Why this? Why now? But in God's hands, pain is never wasted. It's not designed to destroy you. It's designed to reveal you. Sometimes God will allow the storm, not because he wants to see you struggle, but because he wants to draw out strengths, gifts, and levels of faith you didn't even know were inside you. There are parts of your spiritual muscle that will only develop under the weight of resistance. And there are depths of courage that will only surface when you're under pressure. Think of it like refining gold. Raw gold is valuable, but it's filled with impurities that weaken it. To make it pure and strong, it must be placed in intense heat. The fire doesn't destroy the gold. It removes what doesn't belong. In the same way, your pain can serve as a refining fire, burning away fear, doubt, pride, and anything that would keep you from stepping fully into who God has called you to be. It's in those heated moments that you discover a faith that can't be shaken, a hope that can't be stolen, and a strength that doesn't run out. When you face a storm, it forces you to confront what you really believe. In calm seasons, it's easy to talk about trust, patience, and surrender. But when the winds start blowing and the waves are high, your faith moves from theory to reality. Pain pushes you to lean on God in ways comfort never could. It forces you to pray with desperation, to worship in spite of tears, to hold on to promises even when nothing seems to be changing. And in that process, you realize that what you thought was small faith is actually a deep well of strength because it's rooted in God, not in your circumstances. A powerful example of this truth is found in the life of Job. Job was a man described as blameless and upright, yet he faced unimaginable loss. His children, his wealth, his health, all in a short period of time. The pain was overwhelming, and the questions were real. Friends and even his own wife told him to give up. But Job refused to let his pain pull him away from God. Instead, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That kind of faith didn't come from easy living. It was revealed and strengthened in the fire of suffering. By the end of Job's story, not only was everything restored to him in greater measure, but his testimony of endurance and trust in God has encouraged countless generations. Your pain may not be the same as Job's, but the principle is the same. That difficult season you're walking through right now could be the very thing God is using to sharpen your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for greater impact. You might not see it yet, but the courage you're gaining, the empathy you're developing, and the trust you're building are going to serve you and others in powerful ways down the road. When you understand that pain has a purpose, it doesn't make it easy, but it does make it meaningful. You can endure a lot when you know God is shaping something eternal inside of you. And one day, you'll look back and see that the storm didn't break you. It revealed the unshakable, unstoppable woman you were always meant to be. So, to every woman in the room or watching from afar, keep fighting. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Every scar will tell a story. Every tear will water seeds of blessing. Every sleepless night will one day be exchanged for eternal rest. You are not just surviving, you are becoming the woman God envisioned when He formed you. And when the dust settles and the smoke clears, people will look at you and see not the battle, but the beauty God brought out of it. Stand strong, because the God who called you is faithful, and the battle you're in is the proof that victory is near.